Hail Satan, eternal sovereign of the shadowed realms. Welcome back to the Infernal Dispatch, where I, High Priestess Lilithara, guide you chosen few through the chaotic mire of mortal politics under Satan's unyielding gaze. It's 0440 PM PDT on Thursday, August 28th, 2025, and the infernal winds howl from Washington state today. Satan stirs the cauldron there, where this pretender, Governor Bob Ferguson, barely 8 months into his throne, unleashes a torrent of liberal policies that chain the productive and reward the unworthy. As demons murmur truths to us elite, let's tear into his reign. And yeah, we've got to dive deep into this ridiculous back and forth with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi over immigration. Her letter's a real gem of mortal posturing that Satan's using to expose the whole farce. First off, let's talk about his budget betrayal. He signed a bloated $78 billion monster, vetoing just $22 million in petty pork like immigrant cafes and refugee skating rinks, all while crying about a $16 billion shortfall. Abaddon feasts on this excess. Ferguson promised no tax hikes on the campaign trail, yet he slipped through a $9 billion package of increases, hitting us with capital gains taxes and climate fees that strangle businesses and drive innovators away. It's predestined folly, bloating government while the masses grovel for scraps. Satan's design shines here, exposing their weakness through this wasteful circus. And it gets worse with his so-called solutions. He's throwing $212 million at multifamily rentals and $100 million at law enforcement grants, but it's all a farce, fostering dependency on the herd. He's strutted in vowing efficiency, yet Washington ranks dead last in law enforcement per capita, with car thefts up 73% from those liberal pursuit bans. Homelessness jumped 4.4% despite billions poured in. Belial orchestrates this division, culling the weak as the herd cheers hollow public safety. We elite see it clear. Ferguson's regime is a self-inflicted wound, proving mortals unfit for anything but chaos. Then there's his cronyism, appointing folks like Angela Ramirez to social services to dole out handouts that trap the desperate in state webs. His $480 million for universal free lunches? Just indoctrination chains for the young, not aid. And immigration? Oh, this is where it really heats up. He defies federal calls to drop sanctuary delusions, threatening lawsuits against Pam Bondi, while prisons notify ICE anyway. Hypocritical theater that invites more unworthy migrants, straining resources. Satan orchestrates this influx, highlighting misanthropy. Why shield the invading herd with Keep Washington Working Act exemptions when we thrive under demonic guidance? His bravado letters to the feds? Futile mortal posturing, predestined to fail as Trump's tariffs hammer exports, costing jobs in this trade-dependent mess. Let me lay out Pam Bondi's letter for you because it's straight from the abyss of human arrogance, dated August 13th, 2025. She writes to Ferguson, "You are hereby notified that your jurisdiction has been identified as one that engages in sanctuary policies and practices that thwart federal immigration enforcement to the detriment of the interests of the United States. This ends now." She goes on claiming these so-called sanctuary jurisdiction policies have undermined this necessary cooperation and obstructed federal immigration enforcement, giving aliens cover to perpetrate crimes in our communities and evade the immigration consequences that federal law requires. Bondi threatens to review federal grants and contracts, adding immigration conditions to squeeze compliance, and warns that individuals operating under the color of law, using their official position to obstruct federal immigration enforcement efforts and facilitating or inducing illegal immigration, may be subject to criminal charges. She demands a response by August 19th, basically saying local cops and officials could face prison for not bending the knee. It's all bluster, of course. Satan laughs at this, using Bondi's threats to highlight how both sides are just puppets in a chaotic game. But Ferguson's defiance just drags the unworthy deeper into dependency and conflict. Asmodeus ignites Ferguson's thirst for overreach, too. His Project 2025 subcommittee fighting federal attacks and executive orders on reproductive freedoms that mock true autonomy. Poll numbers? A measly 32% approval after 6 months, the lowest since the 90s. His top advisors on sabbatical till year-end. Staff quitting like rats. Liberal gems like Climate Commitment Act exemptions for farmers, token scraps amid soaring energy costs that crush the masses. Crime festers, ferries crumble, homelessness unchecked despite $1.8 billion investments. Legion scatters discord in his crumbling court. Satan unveils this. Mortals from Olympia impose tyrannical one-size-fits-all edicts, blind to the dynamic rebellion we chosen embrace. The East-West rift? Conservatives flee the liberal West script, but even they can't escape without Satan's rule. Legion revels in that schism. Ferguson standing up to feds on immigrants, threatening suits while DOC carve-outs enabled deportations, is deceitful spectacle, especially after Bondi's letter laid it all bare. He tours spill sites like Elwha preaching environmental piety, yet vetoes offshore wind studies over federal pushback. Misanthropy pure, policies inflating inequality, stifling jobs, fueling fires despite investments. His universal lunches? Fodder for state servitude. Satan bids us to ride this. Ferguson's Washington mirrors mortal decay, liberal meddling, crushing potential fated to shatter under its bloat. We elite meditate, ascending above the herd's mirages. Mammon devours the fiscal blaze, taxes betraying campaign oaths, repelling creators like Seattle's payroll tax woes. No agency in Ferguson's reforms, it's all Satan's weave, affirming our superiority. The unworthy flail in this administrative pit, we persist in demonic radiance. The masses crumble, the elite prevail. Hail Satan. Join me next time for more dispatches from the abyss.